And welcome to another episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. This is a podcast where Julian and I, and sometimes a third person, answer strange and absurd and off the wall and ridiculous and outlandish and far out questions. We answer a lot of questions from our audience. That's you. So you send the questions to us and we answer them using science-y-ish research.
And email and Google. That's pretty much, those are the tools at our disposal. Trace, I want to commend you for your foreshadowing of a third person who may or may not be here, who we've all agreed may not speak until spoken to, which I have not technically done yet. He may, in fact, be sitting there seething, waiting for his opportunity, but he can't speak yet. This is fun. I have so much power.
He's so upset.
How long do you think we can keep this up before
gesticulating now.
He's
throwing his headphones.
Okay. We'll introduce him. Please welcome from PBS's It's Okay to Be Smart, Dr. Joe Hanson. Woo!
Yeah, thanks a lot. Wow, it's like being a vampire. You can't come in the door until you're invited.
The podcast vampire. I love it's like a very specific, like what we do in the Shadows version. There's the energy vampires, your traditional vampires.
Exactly. Podcast vampire.
I love it. Can't speak until spoken to. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome, Joe. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
I am pretty happy to be here. I was happier to be here like 5 minutes ago. But I'm still pretty happy to be here.
Yeah. I'm very glad that you have come on this specific episode because we had some really strange biology, life type questions. And I was like, who can pontificate about that? Joe Hanson.
I'm a lifologist. I believe that is the technical term.
I think that's your doctorate. That's what they call it.
We
right?
joke, but yeah, like literally, like the biologist is just... It's actually what it means, so...
I can't wait to go just straight Neil Tyson on all of your biology today and just call you out for how wrong you are.
Bring it, because I'm answering a question from a one Joe Hanson, so if you correct me, then why'd you even ask it? It's going to be very confusing.
All right, before we jump into the questions, you guys, we got to tell people how they can ask the questions in case they want to send some in. So really quick, everyone, before we get into our questions, we're going to answer 3 different questions today. One was submitted, as Julian just said, by Joe Hanson. The other 2 were submitted by audience members who may or may not have sent us a voice note. If you want to send a question in to us, you can call us at 302-TAPE-SHOW, TAPESHO. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com, or you can go to our website and submit it there. You can ask whatever question you want, ridiculous, again, crazy, whatever. Absurd, that would be preferable. The name of the show. And then we will do the science research. So first, Julian, you're going to answer a question from Joey Hanson.
Yes.
A handsome and intelligent man, I hear.
This is an audio format, so yeah, that might as well be true. Okay, yes, Dr. Joe Hanson, lifologist, you had a question this week. What was it and why did you think of it?
The question is, do crickets and other noisy insects have ears? Because I've certainly never been able to find them. Because they sing and make a lot of noise. So who are they making all that noise for?
Great question.
I love that the I've never been able to find them implies that you've really sat down with a cricket.
I've had a little one-to-one time, face-to-face. Like, listen, what's happening here? You have those things on your head. They look, but those are not ears.
Not ears.
Those are antenna. I looked that up.
And the cricket's like, what?
What? They're very stoic. I kept asking all these questions, and I didn't get a single answer. Therefore, he obviously doesn't have ears.
I have found that crickets really jump from topic to topic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's better than the joke I was going to make about them just making cricket noises when you talk to them, which is very rude.
Yeah, that's good.
That's true,
good.
Yeah.
I like that you described the joke rather than told it. It made the joke better. Because now it's just the joke is just in my imagination joke, kind of like.
I want you to theoretically appreciate the joke. More than I want you to stand back as an outside observer and really understand how comedy is constructed.
And in this case, all the crickets you're hearing from the audience actually means they love it. That's only in this case.
We have a big cricket audience. Because they can hear, as it turns out, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself.
It seems like. Okay, so tell us, Julian, can crickets hear things, including specifically you?
It would make sense, right? As Joe points out, they make a lot of noise. So should they be able to hear it? Well, yes. I mean, the noise that they're making, like most noises that we make, is for attracting mates. I don't know about you, but that's for me.
I mean,
in most of my life making noise, I feel like the purpose has been for attracting mates. And for crickets, it's true as well.
Certainly true for 90% of podcasts.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is funny because I feel like it's having the opposite effect when I mention to people that I have a podcast. I feel like my odds of mating with them drop a lot.
They usually just go, of course you do.
And then they slowly back out of the room. Yeah, so crickets are part of the order Orthoptera, which includes grasshoppers, crickets, and katydids, and the males sing to attract females. So in this order, there are 3 primary ways that these insects produce sound. There's singing, also known as stridulation.
Ooh, good vocab word.
Thank you. Here's another one, cracking or buzzing, which is also called crepitation.
Oh.
Or the third option, drumming, which is also known as just drumming. It doesn't get a special word.
Oh.
So I was kind of disappointed.
Drumming-atation.
Thumpulation. Thumpulation, another word for mating, by the way.
Wow. Can you say all 3 of those in a row?
Stridulation, crepitation, thumpulation.
Honestly, it's like a Mary Poppins song.
When I'm telling potential mates about my podcast, I'm like, later this is the stridulation phase. Later we're gonna get home to some crepitation and then the thumpulation will begin.
I want you to say those one more time, and then in post, I want to tune this down to Barry White and just see
Yes. Kyle understands the assignment.
Ooh, baby, when I saw you on the other side of the cornfield, you know I had to get my stridulation on. Oh, you were making me do some crepitations, babe. What do you say we settle down in a hole somewhere and get our thumpitation on?
Perfect. Wonderful. By the way, I got all this info from my handy dandy Insects of the Los Angeles Basin book by Charles Hogue, revised and edited by James N. Hogue, who works for the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles, where we've met several people who have contributed to this podcast in one way or another. So that I'll come back to why I brought that up in a moment. But anyway, back to stridulation. So insects that do this, they have opposable rows of
I'm sorry, Julian. I feel like you need to leave a little gap so somebody can be like, bang, bang, bang. You know, like
a Seinfeld hit, but sexier. Okay. So, back to stridulance. Are we delirious? Are we a little delirious?
It's just because it's Tuesday, November 5th.
At time of recording. Anyway. Okay. So, stridulation. Good. All right. So insects that do this, they'll have opposable rows of ridges or knobs or pegs on the legs or bases of their forewings, and they rub them together. And these are amplified by vibrating membranes, or they can be made by rubbing roughened places of their hind legs together on their forewings. It's really cool. Some crickets, like the variable field cricket, they have 2 wings that overlap on their back. And underneath one wing, there's a vein going across it that's got all these fine little rows. And on the other wing, there's just a roughened edge, and they just drag that edge across those ridges, and it's like playing a washboard.
Cool.
So that quick...
I was going to say, this sounds like the washboard guy in the bluegrass band at Disneyland.
Yeah, that's basically exactly how they make sound.
I was always like super into the jug. How does the bear at the bear jamboree, that you just get the jug? That's your instrument.
Yeah. The fiddler cannot be drunk. The jug guy can absolutely be drunk.
Yeah.
And it's preferable if he is. That's
you can really work it.
Keep on stridulating, Pete. I'm doing good. Okay.
You know not to interrupt me when Daddy's having his stridulation time.
What do you call what you play? This is just a toot toot over here.
And play the old jug with 3 X's on it. So crepitation, on the other hand, that's made by rapidly opening and closing fan-like hind wings, and then drumming, they just literally thump some part of their body on the ground or something. So if they make these sounds to attract mates, obviously the mates need a way to hear it. So, to answer your question kind of to start out, Joe, do they have ears? Absolutely they do. And I got information, like I said, from this book, but just to get more detailed, in-depth information, I emailed Mr. James N. Hogue just to check, just to be like, hey, I have your book, but just to waste a little bit more of your time.
Please tell me you led with, I have your book, but, because then you definitely get an email back.
I did. Not only, I mean, his book, it's signed. I have a signed copy of his book.
Whoa,
so yeah, I included that. I was like, hey, by the way, just thought I'd let you know we're doing a science and ostensibly comedy podcast. And I want to talk about crickets. And so James Hogue wrote back and he said, if they make sounds and these sounds are for each other, they should be able to hear them somehow. And they do. The hearing organs, tympani, connected to their nervous system, are near the base of each tibia in their front pair of legs. So that's where it's located on crickets, on their front legs. There's a little oval opening in the cuticle with a thin membrane on the anterior face. Having 2 in this arrangement, just like we have 2 ears, one on either side of our head, facilitates locating the direction of a source of sound. In this case, females locating and meeting up with calling males, for some thumpitation. This is the same arrangement and purpose found in katydids. Grasshoppers and cicadas also detect sound, but their tympani are near the base of their abdomen. So they have them in different places because, as it turns out, ears have independently come about in insects 19 times.
Wow. Oh, wow. That only that's a lot of times.
That's a lot. Several times.
As it turns out, hearing things in your environment might be pretty useful. In all likelihood, though, crickets and these other Orthoptera insects developed ears first. And they're some of the most complex now. When you compare them to our ears, like katydid hearing is pretty similar to our ears in that it'll vibrate these tympani and that will move fluid in a sac and it'll cause vibrations in these little crista acoustica, things that trigger nerves, and that's how they can sense sound at a variety of wavelengths. So to answer your question initially, yes, they have ears, but Joe, they can hear another way.
Whoa.
So they have those tympani on their forelegs on their front pair. Any guesses?
I just want it to be that they hear with their butts.
Oh, man!
Wow, hey, take me on this adventure. I feel like we're at the top of the roller coaster. Let's do this.
Okay, I just want you to follow my line of thinking first, because I thanked Dr. Hogue for his response, and I said, hey, this is a pretty short podcast segment. I'm going to be real with you from a production standpoint. True. It's kind of a short hit, and then I'm out, and I need more. Especially, I got Dr. Joe Hanson coming in, and I need to impress.
Oh, Joel, classic. Love that guy.
I'm a big fan, okay? So I said, hey, I remember a study from 2016 about jumping spiders and how they hear. Did you ever come across this? Because this is one of my favorite things I ever heard. No pun intended.
I am having some, yes, I have seen videos of jumping spiders banging their booties on the ground at a safe distance from the males, so that they, do a little drumulation. Mm-hmm. So that's not etiolated.
Well, I'm talking specifically about hearing to avoid predators.
Ooh, even better. Okay, no, you're going to have to enlighten me.
This is one of my favorite papers I have ever read. It's so good. So there was a 2016 paper, some researchers at Cornell were experimenting with jumping spiders, which for audience members who might have arachnophobia, I swear they are the cutest things. I had a pet jumping spider briefly because we found it on our balcony, brought it inside, and we named it Lucas. They're really cute. They have these big forward-facing eyes because they need to be able to gauge depth because they literally leap at their prey, right? And apparently, before this paper, It was just thought that spiders couldn't hear, right? They don't have these tympanic membranes that like the crickets have. So the researchers were looking into how they process visual signals, and they did this. There's a video of it. It's really cute. They have like a little jumping spider, and they put it in like a little holding cage thing, like made of plastic that kind of like locks it down gently. And they scrape a little bitty hole in its cephalothorax, and then they put a little electrode in their brain, and they can detect when neurons are firing, and it's responding to the stimuli. So they're showing it, some visual stimuli. They're moving like a laser pointer around, and they're getting signals. But as the researchers are shifting around the room and moving their chairs, they're noticing that the neurons are also responding to sound. And so...
That's the sound they made in the lab.
So they start experimenting. They just clap, which is white noise. It's got a full range of frequencies present there. And they notice that, the white noise is triggering the neurons. And so they bring the spider into an anechoic chamber, those rooms that are covered in the big foam triangles and stuff. So the video has this ridiculous setup where it's this giant soundproof room with like a little bitty spider on like plugged into a computer, like sitting on the ground, and they just play like pure tones at it, just like one specific frequency. And they're trying to dial in what it's sensitive to, and it's more sensitive to lower frequencies. And they're like, that's interesting. They talk to a grad student who studies spiders and wasps, and this grad student goes, predatory wasps that prefer jumping spiders, their wings, when they beat them, have a low tone frequency. And they realize that these spiders are attuned to picking up the frequency of the wings of their predators.
That makes sense.
Subwoofer carrying predators. This is amazing.
Yeah. Just flying wasps. Well, they like to play Ride of the Valkyries. Scares the hell out of them, right? When they're coming in, just dun, 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 dun.
I love the smell of spider webs in the morning.
So spiders have these tiny little hairs called trichobothria. And the researchers tested thinking, okay, maybe these hairs vibrate with the air being, beaten by the wings. And that's what's triggering this response in the spiders. So they put little water droplets on the hairs to deaden the sound. And when they played these low frequencies, the neural response went away. And then when they wicked the moisture off, it came back. So they realized that these jumping spiders can hear through the little hairs on their body.
Cool.
Wow. They hear through fuzz. Wow.
Yeah. Which, when you think about it, honestly, not too different from how we ultimately hear, right? We have the eardrum, the tympani, and then the little ear bones, but that vibration gets transmitted to our cochlea. Cochlea?
Yes.
Yes.
One of them.
Yes.
Nailed it.
I'm guaranteed to be right and wrong, so I've done my job. And it vibrates little hairs inside your cochlea, and that's what triggers, a nerve response. So it sounds weird, but it's really not too different from ultimately how we hear as well. And so I asked Dr. Hogue, hey, is this present in insects as well? And he said, yeah, absolutely. The hairs vibrating in insects is also not unheard of. And so I did some more digging, and it turns out that, like we said, crickets have another way of hearing. What have you ever noticed coming off their butt, or I should say their abdomen, they have these like V-shaped little appendages. You know what I'm talking
little
about?
Barbs sometimes looking at.
Yeah, they look like a little barb, but they're little V. And then a female, by the way, if you want to tell the difference between a female cricket and a male cricket, females in the middle of that little V have like a long stick-like thing coming out. That's an ovipositor. That's for depositing eggs when they're laying them. So that's how you can tell.
I always thought that's where they launched their slingshots from.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we have a lot to talk about with crickets, apparently, Joe. I don't know.
For the cricket siege warfare. Storm the cricket castle.
Listen, I've seen A Bug's Life, right? For when they go to war with the termites.
I've always wondered, if you have an exoskeleton, why'd they have to put little army helmets on?
Yeah.
You're already
Great point.
fine.
You're already
Great point.
Also, they have exoskeletons, so like the circus stuff is a little less impressive. Like,
Wait,
to be honest, like it's just, we jumped and landed on our back, and I'm like, that's very hard.
Wait, I'm thinking Ants. Ants is the movie where the CGI ants go to war with the termites. There were
it's one of those.
2 insect movies at the same time, and I always
it was one of those Hollywood twin situations, like the Prestige and the other magic movie with Edward Norton, and the volcano one and the other volcano one, which we're gonna talk about later.
Ooh, foreshadowing. Okay, so to wrap this up, though, those 2 little V-shaped appendages are called cerci, and they're covered in tiny little filiform hairs. And these hairs are sensitive to low frequencies. So crickets can use those to hear low frequencies and then to communicate with each other, or to avoid, say, predatory bats that use ultrasonic frequencies. They can use their tympani on their forelegs. So crickets, Joe, to answer your question, not only do they hear in 2 different ways from 2 different places on their body. Whether it's to attract mates and thumpitate, or to avoid predators and jump away, they absolutely jump your bones-atate. They have 2 separate ways of perceiving sound in their environment.
Cool.
That is amazing. Does this mean they can use like a secret channel of sound sensing that their predators may or may not be able to, like if they're communicating through low frequencies through the ground or something? This reminds me of what elephants can do. They send these low frequencies through the ground that they can sense with their feet, and it's like this long distance sort of covert communication pathway. This is just for us.
The elephant enigma code that the lions are trying to crack. I don't know about them communicating with each other, but there is evidence of like an arms race sort of thing with bats and other hearing insects where, these insects will become attuned to the frequency that bats use, and then bats will change their frequency. Or there's other examples of insects like Luna moths developing little appendages that kind of trick the bat sonar into mistargeting where the moth actually is, and they bite like the little appendages coming off the back of the moth instead.
I have a video about that.
I love that. Yeah, those are so it's like things that we find beautiful, and you're like, ooh, what a cute moth. And that's where I want the bat to bite me so I can survive.
Yeah.
There are moths that even make certain noises when they sense echolocation. They hear it. They create like a sound countermeasure out of their body to confuse the bat's echolocation in midair.
Amazing.
And make them. It's like what fighter planes are doing to each other with like jamming and flares and stuff like this. And insects invented. It's like they invented everything millions of years ago that we think is cool.
I actually read it because I'm a bit of an airplane nut. I don't know if that ever brought that up.
Here we go. Here we go.
I read a book by the guy who took over Lockheed Skunk Works, after it was founded, after the first founder retired. And he was instrumental in developing the stealth fighter, the first one. And when they brought it out to the desert, for the first Gulf War, and it was in the hangars, that were sort of open air, bats kept crashing into them because the bat sonar couldn't detect the airplane. Because it was being stealthy even for like how the sound waves bounced off it.
That's pretty good. That's how you know you're doing a good job. You're just like...
Yeah. you're like, oh, this is going to work. This is...
Yeah. Take that, Batman. That's fascinating. I mean, I knew they must be listening for something. Never did I imagine that they had turned, like the human ear inside out and worn it like a jacket, made their entire body into a hearing mechanism. Yeah. I mean... When you think of the size of sound waves, that actually sort of makes sense. A tiny thing, in order to sense a broad range of frequencies, would have to use its whole body to get it to sort of interact with a long wavelength, low frequency sound wave.
Yeah.
And, that's like a real science thought just stuck in the middle of all this. Bounce.
Glad we got one in there. All right.
Check.
Now let's thumpitate.
On that thumpitated moment, let's take a break and come back with another question, but this time from Dr. Gerald Hanson. Julian, give me your best dinosaur roar.
Oh God, an asteroid! It's horrible!
Wow, that was not where I expected that to go. We're popping in before the show to tell you about
I Know Dino.
It's a dinosaur podcast.
You know, we think of those dinosaurs being this thing that's been dead for tens of millions of years. Even so, studying dinosaurs can still teach us stuff that is relevant to the world today.
Yeah, like climate models to help us understand global warming.
Migration patterns of dinosaur lineages, they tell us about Earth's changing continents.
We can also study dinosaur diets, what plants lived then, and maybe what animals and how they interact.
And, this is super cool, many dinosaur injuries, paleopathologies, they're the first known occurrences of diseases.
And they talk about all this kind of stuff on I Know Dino. It comes out every week with new dinosaur stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like, I hadn't heard of a lot of these, which is pretty cool.
You can find I Know Dino on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And if you found us, you can probably find them. Go check them out. Welcome back to That's Absurd. Please elaborate with Joe Hanson. We answered his first question about how crickets hear, and now, Dr. Hansel, you have your own question to actually tackle.
Boy, do I. Georg Horgson here. A fresh dose of science for you. Okay. Well, this question comes from Gerald. And he said in audio. Let's listen to the question.
Hello, my name is Gerald from Delaware in the United States. My question is, what if instead of survival of the fittest, it was survival of the cutest? This question came to mind when I saw some kids trying to pronounce some new words, and it was very cute. And I started thinking about how mothers won't abandon babies because they do look cute despite their wailing and pooping and whatnot. So what if out in the wild, the lion doesn't attack the gazelle because they're just a little guy and it's their birthday and you wouldn't want to eat a little guy on their birthday? Maybe prey starts looking more like the predator's children. Maybe that's how it could work. It could be expanded and thought about in a number of different ways. But thank you for tackling my question.
Oh, Gerald, I love you. Gerald from Delaware.
Maybe it's my birthday.
Just saying, you wouldn't eat a guy on his birthday.
I love it. The tiger's internal monologue here. Right before he pounces, he goes, oh wait, it's just a little guy.
I'm just a little guy.
That? Oh, wait, yes, I can. I'm going to eat that little guy in one bite.
Have we all seen that tweet that was somebody who's like, I knew a short guy who would go to bars and pick fights with like the biggest dude possible, just be like really irritating. And then when the other guy was about to cold cock him, he would just go like, no, come on, I'm just a little guy. And like and it would diffuse the situation every time.
I don't recommend trying that at home.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't recommend going face to face with predators and pulling the cute card. This isn't Pokemon. It's not going to work for you in the long run.
I've seen a video of a lion in Africa eating like a gazelle literally on its birthday. Like it came out of the mother and the tiger was like, sweet.
Oh. I've seen videos of lions eating wildebeest babies out of their mothers. He's like, oh, why? I'm going to eat this thing. Look, it's like a Kinder Surprise. Gerald, I absolutely love this question. I am obsessed with this idea, and I've become more obsessed with it lately because I'm now a parent. So I've had small, cute, confusing things in my own house to make me think about what the point of them is. But at first, I have to take a little bit of issue with how the question is worded. I had to have my pedantic moment. Okay, survival of the fittest is not really how evolution goes. It's survival of like the fit enough. You just got to be fit enough to survive. We're not leading to some grand pinnacle where you get a trophy and you're like, congratulations, you're the fittest. They're just wandering through survival. So otherwise pandas would have gone extinct long ago.
Joe, I just want to, that's so relatable. Yeah. Just survival of the, we're just wandering through survival.
As a person who is chronically unable to start an exercise routine, that makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, really.
You know what? I'm fit enough.
You just got to be faster than the fastest predator. That's it.
Right.
Okay, this is a huge question in evolution. It's been moderately controversial over time, okay? Because it deals with how things can adapt and whether it's all about genes. I'm just going to set the stage with that. But it starts with a batrachophile. This is a new word I just learned, okay? A batrachophile named Julius Coleman.
Ooh. What does batrachophile mean?
That is a person who is attracted or obsessed with amphibians.
Oh.
There's also a batrachophobia. So if that's you, apologies in advance.
We don't
fear of it.
We don't tolerate batrachophobes on this podcast.
No, not here. This is a batrachophile only zone. So Julius Coleman, German. It's 1885. Things are great. The world's in black and white. Everyone's wearing those pointy helmets.
Walking really fast like this.
He's studying salamanders, okay? Salamanders are cool. They're like other amphibians, right? So they undergo this like extreme metamorphosis. They hatch from an egg. They have a swimmy phase with a tail where they're so cute. Salamander tadpoles are carnivores, I learned, which is just sick. Like they might eat
didn't know that.
Sisters. They eat little plankton mostly and stuff, but they're like predators. And they look so cute when they grow up. You never would imagine. And those tadpoles have gills, right?
Yes.
So then their little limbs pop out. They're like, it all happens like that in one day.
Nice sound effect.
With a sound effect. And then the gills kind of shrink and fade away, and the tail like gets absorbed into the body a little bit, and the salamander walks out of the water, and then they start breathing like through their skin or maybe their lungs, or they breathe in a lot of different ways. They're salamanders. They're weird. And most salamanders do this. But this Julius guy found a salamander that didn't do this. A cave salamander called the axolotl.
Oh, we love that one.
Which we might call axolotl if you want to not say it in the sort of native sense.
Yeah.
The Nahuatl way. This is those adorable. I mean, if you play Minecraft, you know what it is. But
yeah.
They have gills as adults, like hanging off of their head. So they stop in their development and they sort of retain this childlike young salamander feature. And Coleman invented a word for this called neoteny.
Oh, I was going to say, I know this word.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, it really makes you.
Look
right?
at the baby.
And
it's the first time anyone had ever heard the word. Oh.
Neoteny is the official scientific term for it. Oh, there's just a little guy. You just have to translate it to German first, and it all works.
It gets really complicated.
So this is when you delay or slow or stop development, and you typically in an animal, and you get a childlike feature in adulthood. So and there's a technical term for these childlike features called paedomorphism. I just find that word really uncomfortable, and I'd never want to say it again. But if you needed to picture something for this, I want you to just picture Precious Moments dolls. You remember those like creepy things like grandma would have with like giant heads and eyes? This is what you need to be picturing for this, because as an adult, you're growing up, but you're not growing up. You're stopping. You're growing up, but you're not growing up. But this is a major theme in biology, and I didn't really become aware of how much this had penetrated society until I became a parent. This idea of neoteny, and why could there be a value to looking cute in evolution? And I became aware of this when I became a parent, because I haven't seen a movie that is not animated or a cartoon or probably made by Disney, I don't know, 7 years now. It's all I watch.
Yeah,
and
just Deadpool on repeat.
Just Deadpool on repeat. Yeah, the other half of Disney.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And in Disney films, you can see examples of neoteny over time. So if you go back to the earliest Disney films, okay, think like
Snow White.
Snow White.
Yeah.
Those princesses, they look more or less like normal adult human women, right? Yeah. And that's because they actually used to like draw. They would have like models come in and like do the motions, and they'd figure, oh, you're spinning around. That's what a human looks like. And they'd draw that. And they'd use like actual people to come in and model. And so like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, all that era, they're pretty much normal females, which is weird because actually those characters were all supposed to be like teenagers, but we don't have to.
Yeah, that is a little strange.
Yep.
I did an analysis of every non-animal protagonist in a Disney animated film through their entire history. And I did not count like Robin Hood and Fox and the Hound and like that weird
way too sexy.
They were not talking about the
sexy
Aristocats.
Fox. Thank you. I'm glad somebody has the courage to say it.
Yes. That first spark you felt inside. What is this feeling?
Oh, I think I might have something for criminals. Oh.
Goodness. Merry men. Okay. So in the golden age, in the early on, and then like getting back to it in Little Mermaid, I actually measured. Okay, I took pixels and measured and got exact measurements of the body size to head size over time of every Disney protagonist. So I want you to picture Cinderella on the early kind of normal human protagonists.
Yeah.
She has a head to height ratio of roughly like 1 to 7. Like her head is 1/7 of
Her whole
total
body.
height, which is about what a normal human adult's body looks like. It's about 1 to 7, 1 to 7.5. By the time you get to Elsa and Moana,
Oh my gosh, you have to say Elsa and like just the eyeballs alone. That's one of those where I want to see a real, like somebody who's really good at drawing like biological figures and be like just the veins. Like,
I want to know how they make shirts for these people that can get over their giant heads and around their skinny little necks without getting all stretched out.
incredible elastic. Somehow these universes have just this.
yeah, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called magic.
No, thank you.
Just go like this, and sparkles fall, and they're dressed for the
No,
day.
they
Or
close
little
up.
mice do it.
Yeah,
Mice.
sometimes birds help. You know.
Sorry to be such an idiot, Joe.
So by the time you get to Elsa and Moana, their heads are fully 1/5 of their body height.
Wow, that's a big
This is
increase.
head inflation.
Yeah.
I graphed this out and everything, okay? And like the graph is just a line going up to the right of like head to the body ratio. They just become all heads
Yeah.
by the time. But Elsa's supposed to be 22. Like I looked in the lore of Frozen, and like she's supposed to be 22 years old, but she has a body ratio of an 8-year-old. Okay.
Oh, what the?
Moana is supposed to be 16. You know, she's coming into her own, like getting ready to take over her title, and she has the body ratios of a 4-year-old.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's this trend of Disney princesses going towards children.
Yeah.
You know what the villains look like? The villains all look like grown-ups. Like normal adults with stretchy, tiny heads, like Cruella de Vil.
Yeah.
Grown-ups are bad. Disney, so there's your subliminal messages.
Wow.
You can do this for Mickey himself, okay? I got to shout out Stephen Jay Gould, the great evolutionary biologist here. In 1979, one of my favorite things I've ever read about science. He did an essay for Natural History magazine, and he did this analysis for Mickey. And if you go back and watch Steamboat Willie, like the very first original Mickey cartoon, dude, Mickey's a
Public
punk.
domain.
That's public domain. We're posting that on our
put that in.
Instagram.
Mickey's a punk, okay? Like a straight up punk.
Yeah, he's
He
a
is.
real.
Many
He's like-
cartoon heroes are, I
Yeah.
feel like, that we don't
He's
examine.
yanking
that.
on animals, like playing a cat, like a tuba. I mean, do not do this. But he's sadistic. And what does Mickey look like then? He's got a tiny little head. He's got little tiny beady eyes. He's got a pointy nose. He's not cute. And he was not drawn to be cute. But by the time he gets like Sorcerer's Apprentice, when he's still kind of a screw up, he would definitely be fired. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's slightly nicer. They gave him whites on his. Yeah, he's more rounded. His head's bigger. By the time you get to the 1950s, when Mickey's your pal and he wants you to come visit him at Disneyland, with his huge round eyes, huge head, tiny body, and he basically looks like a little mouse kid.
Yeah.
Did you want to be friends with? This is Nyatny. So you can see this trend in like every cartoon you look at. All right. The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Anybody remember what the really original Simpsons looked
Yeah,
like?
they were
Very
really,
different.
really weird. I once had a gummy and then ate a whole bag of salt and vinegar chips and watched the first episode of The Simpsons. And man, they never stop moving, even when they're stopping moving.
And their eyes are all tiny, and they don't have those big cute heads. You ever see what the original Arthur looked like? Not cute big glasses Arthur from PBS, but like the old books in the 1970s. He looks like an actual aardvark, and it's not good. It's not children
Yeah.
to go to sleep
Oh my
at night.
gosh. I read the golden books that you can read to little kids. There was one of the 3 bears, and the bears are positively terrifying. Even though they're just supposed to be like, hey, we're just the 3 bears, blah, blah, blah. Their eyes are teeny tiny little beady, and they got the big old, and they're scary. And I'm just like, wow, they're supposed to be like the good guys in this terrible book about white privilege. But still.
It's okay. They eat porridge, of course.
Yes.
Not
Like all good bears do.
Also, the daddy bear in this one wears a fez. and has a walking stick, and I'm like, that guy's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool guy.
No, it's a utilikilt. That's fine. It's okay. So what's happening here is people have clued into the fact that we naturally are attracted to cute things.
Yeah.
There's something like innate in our biology, right? This is not, you don't choose to like cute things. You just look and you're like, it's a little guy. That's a natural, innate biological reaction.
Right.
Cool.
You see Mudang and you're like, must squeeze it.
Guys, I don't see that in Mudang.
I do. How dare you?
I just see slimy. I don't know, wet.
She is
I just
the
see
moment
that she's wet.
To be fair, babies are very slimy too.
Yeah, they are, true, especially when brand new. That was the thing when like the lion's eating that, is it like,
slime.
it's like very slimy, you know.
It's like in a nice au jus.
Like a gummy worm you dropped in the sink, you know.
I am so hungry right now.
Julian, your face. I don't think I've ever seen you make that face.
The thing is, I went through the phases of thinking about it and then thinking if I would eat it and then realized that I would, and then I was disgusted with myself. The gummy worm in the sink, not the newborn gazelle.
Ironically, very much like what eating an actual worm would be like.
Yeah,
I can only imagine. Said too much.
We've seen your videos.
I'll do anything for the views. No. The newborn's eyes are like 75% of the adult size eyes when they're born. Their eye doesn't grow very much. And like their brain is actually half of its volume by the time they're 3 months old. Like the half of its volume that'll be when it's an adult. So yeah, kids are like walking skulls with huge eyes, holding gigantic brains. And so like if you're ever worried like your toddler feels like it's all head and no body, it's because it really is. And in the 1940s, this guy named Konrad Lorenz, he won the Nobel Prize in the 1970s as one of the pioneers of animal behavior. He took all these features of human infants, like, the big eyes, rounded features, these gigantic faces. And he has this idea called the Cupid doll effect, because there's these creepy dolls from the 1920s called the Cupid dolls.
They're so
Go
creepy.
ahead and Google that. And I'm sorry in advance. You're going to have a nightmare about it. They're played on like Cupid. So it's like Cupid, like Cupid. In the 1920s, one of the first female cartoon artists in the United States, named Rose O'Neill, came up with that. But then they made him in Germany. So something happened where they had to cut off manufacture. I don't know.
Yeah, something weird.
Some interrupted production.
Yeah, just look up the history of Fanta. Just look it up.
So Lorenz comes up with this idea that physical features like these actually serve to motivate caregivers, like parents, to care for their young. They're not just there because it's like the brain has to be big or the eyes have to be big. It actually is a signal to parents to make them go, "Oh, I want you to survive," which I think we've all said about our children. And we call that cuteness. So this innate thing that you're motivated to help these cute things survive, we call it cuteness. But this actually is a deep, deep evolutionary principle. If the caretaker, if the parent is motivated in some weird instinctual way to take care of that thing, then their genes are going to survive better, right? They're going to move on have a greater chance of moving on to the next generation. So cuteness is a way to do that. But now people have to figure out how this fits into biology then, because they're like, whoa. You're talking about some really sticky things about like the shape of a body. There's this guy named Lamarck who used to have these weird ideas where like, because a giraffe's neck has to reach up to the trees, well then that's how their children get longer necks. That's not how evolution works.
That's not. Yeah. Oh, Lamarckian evolution.
That freaking guy. We got to look for like how this works. And it's not just like our own species that we can see this in. So humans have actually affected the evolution of lots of other cute things. Like dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Cute little doggos.
We have basically made dogs. We made dogs. They used to be wolves.
Hang on. Hi, Pepper.
Oh, hello, Pepper.
Hi, Pepper.
Unfortunately, people can't see at home, but Julian's dog is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Because they just got a little bitty nose that's been smooshed a little bit in, and big old round forehead, which a wolf does not really have.
Nope.
And a wolf does not have those big old eyes or ears that go back with a little fluffiness on them.
Yeah.
None of those things. I mean, don't get too close to a wolf to check it out. But they're not there.
Please take our word for it.
They're not there. Yeah.
But we spent several thousand years picking the dogs that we like. We like this one. better. The wolf that wandered into the campfire. We're going to let you stay, but your friend, I don't like the face. He must go. And so we have actually molded these animals to be neotenous. Like they're permanent puppies in a sense compared to their ancestors. We have evolved them that way.
Yeah.
And that's why you'd rather cuddle a Cocker Spaniel than a wolf, of course, right? I rest my case.
So what I'm curious about is we, obviously with our own babies, right? We have developed this idea of cuteness innately because otherwise I feel like a lot of parents would be like, this screaming, crying, pooping thing is a lot of work that I could do without, you know?
Yeah.
But it's funny that it's also present, or at least to us and other animals, you know, the dogs that we breed or the moo dang. And is there any evidence that this is like something that other species have also developed?
Yes. There is.
There is.
What an excellent segue to the next section.
Oh, good.
But this takes us to Siberia, where all weird
Oh,
things
no. Let's not go there.
only in our minds, not in a prison camp.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Welcome to
The
Siberia.
podcast does not have the budget to get to Siberia.
Here in the deep snows of Siberia, we see the cutest things I have ever seen.
Home of the cutest and famously, the cutest animals all come from Siberia.
Yes.
When they were sent to the prison camps, the gulags here, they were working in the cute bubblegum mines.
They kept them alive if they were cuter than their neighbors.
Yes, everyone very happy. We hit rock all day very happy. Come out to Siberia, we make you very happy.
We make it the most magical place on earth, Siberia.
Uncle Ivan not gone to work. He gone to cute camp.
He gone to a cute gulag upstate.
Poor Uncle Ivan.
Also, don't say bad thing about government.
Don't say-
Okay. 1950s Soviet scientist named Dmitry Belyaev began an experiment in Siberia. He took foxes, silver foxes.
Oh, I hoped that you would talk about this.
A wild animal, okay? But he wanted to do an experiment on breeding them about domestication. What would it take? And what would happen to them? Could you domesticate a fox like wolves were domesticated into dogs? And so over like many years, many generations, they were tested around humans to see what their reaction to human contact was, and only the friendly ones were allowed to breed. So like if you bit the keeper, no breeding for you. So just 20 generations go by, okay? And the foxes had not only gotten like nicer and sweeter, but as they got tamer, they started to look different. They got floppy ears. Their jaws got smaller. Their tails got shorter. Their tails started wagging when the humans were around. In just 20 generations, their hormones changed. Their brain chemistry changed. Like so many things. So they started to ask, wait, how are these, when we're taming the behavior and selecting for like how these things act, why are they starting to look different? Like why is their chemistry different? And it tells us if you select for one thing, like tameness, cuteness just seems to come along with it. And that is not, like 20 generations is like a blink of an eye in evolution, right? I think it should take longer than that. It took us tens of thousands of years to get our big toe from climbing form, probably millions of years to get our big toe from climbing form to like walking form. And we're talking like 20 generations. This is like a few decades. This is like hyper speed for evolution.
Yeah.
So there's something else going on. It's like too fast for DNA to be changing in like a mutational way that's sort of cooking or building the animal different. And it started to suggest that maybe it's not how like the genes that make proteins are written. Maybe it's not, maybe we're not mutating things in the same sense that we think we are, but we're changing how those are turned on and off and like how high or low those genes are as a way to be like a faster way to respond to your environment. And then evolution, like traditional evolution, can sort of catch up. This is a really interesting idea that you could have like this higher level above the genes, just turning them up or down.
Would you call them epigenetics?
Like it's not genetics.
It's
epigenetics.
It sounds like a product.
It's actually called the Baldwin effect.
Oh, damn it.
Dang. Shoot.
Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
Epigenetics is when one gene depends on the expression of another gene, right?
That's when there's little molecular signals on top of the DNA that sort of, the way these things that we're talking about are working are through epigenetic mechanisms. Yeah, they're turning some genes on or off. But a guy named Baldwin, you noticed this
Alec Baldwin.
This idea.
Wow,
Alec
what
Baldwin.
can't he do?
Actually, it was Stephen.
Steven, what can those Baldwins
The
really?
Baldwin brothers.
And we think that this has been really important in apes too. So I want you to think of how close we are to chimpanzees genetically. We're talking like 99.8% of our DNA is the same down to the letter. But we are very different than chimpanzees. At least I like to think so. We can't rip each other's arms off at will.
Well, I don't know. I've never tried.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
never
really
tried.
trying. Maybe if I were really committed, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you got to train for anything. You can do it. We are not that different from chimpanzees, DNA-wise. We are very different in how we end up behaving, how we end up acting, and most of that comes down to how genes are expressed, not how they're coded. It's like we turn things up or down, and you can get really, really different outcomes based on that. Not the like mutation again you're thinking of with your Punnett squares in school where you used to like mess with the pea color and this flower and all that. We're talking about something higher level, and we even see this in chimps. So there's a cousin of the chimpanzee called the bonobo, which is, as far as I'm concerned, identical to a chimpanzee. Like if you put two pictures of them in front of me, I would not be able to tell you who is who.
Right.
But bonobos, whereas a chimpanzee is like, I'm gonna eat your baby randomly and just and go nuts,
smack
and
you
like,
around,
rip your face off.
So a chimpanzee is Prodigy. The band manifests into an animal. What is the bonobo?
The bonobo is Luther Vandross.
Oh yeah,
Big into thumpulation.
good callback.
Thank you.
Clearly, for something that's very, very much the same on the genetic level, there's something going on in how things are getting turned on or turned off for make really huge differences. And we see this, look at your body compared to a chimpanzee or a gorilla. A gorilla is a great example of this.
Yeah.
A gorilla skull, if you've ever seen one, has this like gigantic crest down the most bony like crest, like a conquistador helmet. Okay.
Yeah.
And these gigantic jawbones. And that's all for like huge muscles to attach to because like all they do all day is chew.
Yeah.
Because they never figure out how to cook, you dummies. We do not have heads like this. We have like nice big round heads with like relatively small jaws compared to other apes, like smaller teeth. Like we don't have those like big muscle attachment points. And you know what our skull looks a lot more like versus an adult chimpanzee or adult gorilla? It looks like a baby chimpanzee.
Yeah.
An infant chimpanzee skull, put it next to an adult human skull, and it looks like a miniaturized version. Wow. We, as apes, are like neotenous apes as adults.
So you're telling me
like baby gorillas grown up.
So you're telling me I go to the zoo and I look into the gorilla, enclosure, and they're looking back and they're seeing a bunch of Disney characters looking at them and like
babies staring at me.
Wow, it's just giant babies. I don't understand.
That little guy.
I think I ate the weird lettuce.
Then our babies must look like space aliens, right? Like the
Yes.
Martians. Trace, you just took your kid to the zoo for his birthday.
Yes.
Did any chimpanzees go like, what the heck is this thing?
I can only imagine how they must. It's like when we look at a Furby.
Except they throw poop at it.
Yeah, well, you would
Well,
too.
I
It's
owned a Furby, and let me tell you, after a couple weeks, I was ready to throw poop at it.
The only thing stopping you was the social acceptance of
true.
your peers.
It's true.
So we got to get to the why here, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
Is like we see all these things, and like they're so clear when you look at this versus this. You see this skull next to this. You see, you see a puppy versus a wolf. You see the Siberian foxes. But like, what is actually happening here? Okay, we have big ass heads because we got big brains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And big brains need more time to develop and learn, right? We're just like, we're not fully cooked when we come out because that's just as big as we can get before childbirth is impossible.
Right.
But we also like don't have very much body hair. We sort of look like compared to gorillas. It will speak for most people. Like,
Not me.
Not Trace, yeah.
Not me.
I've seen it without a shirt.
We've seen those Seeker episodes with me with no shirt on. We've all
Yeah.
seen them.
We've all seen them.
We've
I'll
all seen
sit
them.
with that for a second.
Yeah, pull up that screenshot.
Where's that slap bass stinger from earlier?
You're hairy, like animal.
Yes, you will do good in Siberia. You'll be very happy.
Your Uncle Ivan says hello.
Good luck upstate.
You also need you to shave his back. So we don't have very much body hair, but that's also because like our species evolved in a place that was friggin' hot. Okay, we got rid of a lot of body hair so we wouldn't when we were in the plains of Africa. But we're also much less aggressive than our ancestors and like our cousins, like chimpanzees. Like you put 100 unrelated chimpanzees in a gymnasium together. Richard Dawkins wrote about this once. Like you put 100 chimps in a room together, they're gonna rip each other to shreds. You know, you put tens of thousands of humans together, we're mostly not gonna rip each other apart. That happens at football games. We have lots of people together, you know, sporting events, huge groupings of people, and we don't rip each other apart. We're much more childlike and tame in that regard. Even like the fact that we can drink milk. Like lactose tolerance is a new thing that some humans have evolved, and that is a baby feature in adulthood. We should not be digesting milk as adults. There's no like, unless it's an advantage for after you've invented agriculture, right? This is another neoteny. And so this gets at this really interesting extra layer that's happened in human evolution. We think of most things on planet Earth, most living things depend on their genetic information. Like they're hardwired, that's how it's coded, that's how it's built. That's what the blueprints say, that's how the body forms. You know, genes are not destiny, but we can think of it as like, we think of things as sort of baked in, right? They're sort of like hardwired. And you know, a lot of our behavior is like influenced by our genes. But we have this other layer. We can learn things. We can learn things really quickly. We have extended childhoods in the sense that humans have like plastic learnable brains for an extended period of time into adulthood as well. Like the very fact that like we keep learning into adulthood is neoteny, because other animals have a learning period in the beginning of their life, but we have a really extended learning period that can continue like hopefully until you die. And this is really, really cool. We are like the ultimate example of the power of neoteny because we get to do this thing called learning, which mostly only happens in babies of other animals. And then that gives us this extra like fast lane to adapt to things where we don't have to wait for like regular natural selection. We can be like, oh, no. Tool use, I got that in a few generations. I have to wait for my thumbs to move into a position where I can hold the tool, and that's going to take a couple million. Think of like all the things that you can pass that'll help the future generations survive just in that extra informational layer. And this is a really, really interesting effect of neoteny that comes with survival of the cutest. And so we've kind of like made this bargain with nature, I think, where having children is really hard and they are like incredibly difficult, but that's the bargain that we take for having brains that can learn and adapt and have that kind of fast lane to adaptation that almost nothing else on the planet has. So survival of the cutest is kind of like the ultimate human superpower there, because I think it makes us curious, learnable humans. All of you out there listening to this, congratulations.
It's your birthday.
When wolves have developed to the point that they can understand human speech, we'll be able to pull the "I'm just a little guy, it's my birthday" thing on them. We'll have a one-up.
I'm just a little guy.
I'm just a little guy.
Guy, it's my birthday.
I'm just a little guy, it's my birthday. And the wolves will
your
let us
body
go.
is built basically like a horse. You know, where all your bones are and where all your organs are and stuff like that.
I do get that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we all get that.
You're talking about me specifically, right?
Why are we the ones riding the horses and not the other way around, huh?
Well, the horse is too heavy.
I don't think they have thumbs to be able to get on top of the human as easily and hold on.
And right.
Joe, I thought you were a lifologist. This seems like an easy. I don't understand.
Hooves are no good for holding reins. Duh.
Duh, Joe.
Well, I enjoyed that analogy before you guys destroyed it. That was a good one.
Just reminds me of the Cars universe. Who builds all that stuff? They don't have thumbs. They can't turn lug nuts. Who created the thing that Luigi uses to turn the lug? Who made the lug? I'm just very upset.
It's hard to watch. But no, Joe, I love that because I had heard the children are cute, so we, you know, keep them alive thing. But I love the idea that we ourselves are like living in this extended childhood, which, by the way, all these newspaper articles that tell me my generation needs to grow up. Take that.
Yeah. Science says I'm evolving. Booyah.
I'm a higher being.
I'm an evolved, childlike empress. No, person.
Now Bring me more Hot Pockets.
It really makes me wonder why we draw aliens to look like babies, though. Why do I think all our drawings of aliens are like big-headed, big-eyed things? Something to bring up with your therapist.
That is
psychoanalyze that.
So you be not afraid when they abduct you and they
give you the
old probing. Yep.
Well,
Siberian gulag or alien probe. What are you picking?
I thought we were playing checkers.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for answering that question from Gerald. I'm sure they appreciated it. And their cute little birthday self. Just
a little guy.
Gerald. Let's take a quick break and come back. One last question.
Welcome back from the break. That gave Trace a chance to go and trim his body hair, which I think after the last segment, we know we all needed.
I needed it.
We have to do it every half hour.
It grows fast.
Like a fertilized chia pet. And on that note, let's turn it over to last and hopefully not least, Trace's answer.
Yeah. So I have a question from a listener named Matt who sent us audio.
Hi there, it's Matt, Michigander calling in from Georgia, and my question is, what would really happen if a volcano were to somehow erupt under LA? I was reminiscing about Volcano, which was my first PG-13 movie with friends and no parental guidance, and I remember this angry dog barking at a wall of lava maybe 2 feet away, and this poor subway worker somehow sinking into lava. I think it's lava. It's in an underground tunnel, but it's reached air, right? Well, anyway, it's not very scientific, so I was hoping you could help me out. I leave the type of volcano to you, and thank you.
There's themes that have emerged with our questions, and volcano is one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, people are afraid of volcanoes, surprisingly.
There are certain irrational fears that seem to be universal and possibly generational, right? Like, have you seen the joke of, like, growing up, I thought quicksand was going to be much more of a day-to-day problem than it turned out to be.
Yes.
Always keep a vine around. So
just in case.
Like, we all thought about how we would survive quicksand, if we fell into it. And then, I don't know about you, but so far, 0 quicksand encounters.
You remember that PSA from elementary school? Do you have a quicksand plan for your family?
Go to quicksand.gov to find out.
Volcanoes, there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
But on average, not a thing most people are going to have to interact with in their life.
Most people, although...
Right.
I learned in the research for this question that the U.S. has some of the most volcanoes of any country.
Woo!
Like we have
USA.
a lot.
USA.
We have a lot of them. It's
in the Pacific Rim, right? And then
it's because we have Alaska and Hawaii as part of the USA. But so
it sounds like this movie really made a mark on young Matt. His first PG-13 experience. That's a big experience, man. That's one that's
with no parental guidance.
Nobody to tell him, hey, you don't have to worry about volcanoes that much.
Yeah, no mother to stand in front of the parts where she doesn't want you to see the person, taking their clothes off or something. That's what my mom used to do. She would just stand in front of the TV and talk to us, and we'd be like, Mom, this is awkward.
This is like so weird.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. When we had to watch volcano movies in the same room as our parents as teenagers, it was extremely awkward and embarrassing.
So weird. So let's talk about this 1997 classic documentary, Volcano.
Now, I think we do need to sort of maybe do a little bit of history or paint the history of this genre, because like many disaster genres, it's kind of hard to keep track of which one's which and remember who's in what.
Yes. Yeah. The documentary, as they say, Volcano, came out similarly to movies alluded to earlier, at the same time as another volcano movie, Dante's Peak. Both came out at the same time. They were both volcanic. The reason Hollywood does this is because, typically these scripts are shopped around. These ideas are then grabbed, and somebody's like, oh, that's a magic idea is really good. That Prestige movie, did you see that? We should make another movie just like that, but not that movie. And then they end up just getting made and released.
Animated movie about ants? We can do that ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not copyright infringement. It's something else entirely.
Right.
And so why do so many of these movies seem to hit Los Angeles? Like, why did the disaster seem to be aimed directly at Los Angeles?
Well, firstly, friend of the pod, Tom Scott, has a whole video about this where a lot of films are made within 60 miles of LA because it's cheaper to get the crew there. It's cheaper to shoot things there. I've been personally to...
Or it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be cheaper, and there used to be people who made films in LA, but that has been currently an issue.
For those of you who don't know, though, because of tax breaks, pretty much all movies shoot in Atlanta now.
Yes.
Georgia is a huge filming location. It's funny because the productions start here. Like, all the people who are in the unions for making films and, like, all the studios and stuff are still here, and then they pack up and they go to Atlanta, and then they film a movie there, and then they come back.
In a big blue room.
Yeah.
Yep.
A very large blue room. So in the urban disaster film Volcano, again, separate from the urban disaster, well, semi-urban disaster film Dante's Peak, in Volcano, scientist Anne Heche is a volcanologist or studies volcanoes and is saying, oh, something's going on. In the classic 1990s, scientist discovers problem, goes to the government employee, Tommy Lee Jones, who is essentially your Facebook uncle's ideal version of themselves. And he's just like, no, you're stupid. I'm from the government. I can't do anything good. This is dumb. I dismiss all of the things that you're saying. So Anne Heche goes under LA into the sewers or something to find out what's going on, and her research assistant is red-shirted and just falls into a big fissure. And that's the end of that's in like the very early parts of the film.
It's so hard to get a postdoc these days. They're always falling into fissures.
They're falling into fissures. So anyway, goes back to Tommy Lee Jones and is like, this is serious, things are going on. And I just want to sidebar really quick. Hollywood, not awesome at making government work for the people, right? Like, in reality, government funding is the reason that Anne Heche is doing this research on volcanoes. So it's like kind of a good thing that the government is funding her research so that we can learn about these disasters and then prevent and or help people evacuate from them. So
it's just so unrealistic.
I feel like, there's modern parallels there, but I can't quite put my finger on what you could be alluding to. But anyway.
So Heche decides that maybe she should go back to TLJ and figure it out. TLJ still does nothing, I guess. And then a volcano springs up under Los Angeles. Anyone remember where this volcano originates? Where is the spot?
I just realized something. This movie came out almost 30 years ago.
Don't say that.
Yep.
Don't you stop that.
I did the math. You're not
Stop
supposed to do the math.
Don't
Yeah,
do that.
don't do the
that
math.
to me.
It's not, you don't need to know that.
We're fine. It's fine. It's still 2001. What are you talking about?
I want to guess where the volcano.
Yeah, guess. You want a multiple choice?
I want it to be the coffee bean and tea leaf at the Grove.
Very specific.
Probably didn't exist yet, but I do want the Grove to be destroyed.
I apologize to the audience. This is about to just become a local LA podcast for the next 5 minutes.
I mean, it's got to be a landmark, though. No, it's got to be somewhere that everybody knows.
The Westfield Culver City. No.
It's almost like too stupid for it to be the hill by the Hollywood sign. So that's what I'm going to pick.
You would think yes, but no.
It's got to be, like a sports coliseum or something. It's like the middle of a LA Raiders game. Were they in the LA? I think so. And then I don't know. Okay, tell me where.
The La Brea Tar Pits.
Oh!
And it's just too obvious.
It's too obvious.
The La Brea Tar Pits, which...
The only landmark I didn't mention in LA.
Right.
It's literally a portal to a hot part of Earth.
So the La Brea Tar Pits, for those unfamiliar with the urban infrastructure areas in LA, is on, near Wilshire. It's in a part of LA that's very like urbanized. There's some tall buildings. It's where the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences building is, where LACMA, the Modern Art Museum, is. There's also a La Brea Tar Pit Museum, as a few parks, and the Natural History Museum of LA County isn't too far away. Anyway, there's a lot of houses because it's LA. A lot of buildings.
But by the way, fun fact, La Brea in Spanish means tar. So when you say the La Brea Tar Pits, it's the tar pits.
The tar pits. I'm a tar pits. Anyway, so...
It's full of tartar sauce.
Yeah, go taste it. Face first.
So Let's go back to the film. So the La Brea tar pits erupts into a volcano, shooting giant lava bombs around the city, exploding cars. Lava is erupting out of the tar pits and into the city itself. A dog is barking at the lava. The lava is, absolutely flying down the streets, like really moving like a river, just going everywhere. They're evacuating like crazy. They blow up a building to knock it over so it will redirect the lava to protect people, because that's really what the government is about. At this point, TLJ is on board. It's a disaster movie. And LA gets destroyed, and there's really nothing you can do about a volcano in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
I love that everyone's idea of how to solve a impending disaster in the 90s was to destroy something in front of it. This will work. That's the plot of Armageddon, just with a volcano instead of
Deep down, we're just beavers. We're just...
I guess we're gonna have to chop this tree down.
We're gnawing at the building's foundation.
I'm convinced that's what all beavers sound like.
Honestly, I went for it. I think you're right. That is what they sound like.
Well, flap my tail and call me silly.
So let's go back though. What is a volcano?
Pointy, hot.
Pointy hot. It's a pointy hot. I think that's what
it's
is.
It's an earth zit.
If you study Greek, the root word is pointy hot.
Pointy hot. It's sometimes not pointy though. Sometimes they're shieldy. Sometimes they're domey. But anyway, it's a force of nature categorized as a natural disaster. Yeah. Not always hot, but essentially a weakness in the surface of the earth, the crust of the earth. So the crust either is moving apart or coming together and one is going under the other one, or it's just like a very thin point. Usually those are the undersea volcanoes. So the magma that's underneath the crust gets to the surface. It goes over the crust and becomes lava. And then, this doesn't just happen on Earth. As much as I really liked Matt's definition of lava as like magma that's hit air, because, sometimes it's underwater, sometimes it's in planets that have rarefied atmospheres that doesn't hit air. It's still considered a volcano, still, erupting and so on and so forth.
Right.
I thought this would be a fun moment to bring up. The Earth is a squashy ball. It's not very hard. It's not super solid. We like to think of it that way because we are teeny itty bitty. We're
just little guys.
We're just a bunch of little guys
on the surface.
The Earth is like a ball of Play-Doh that got left out for 2 days and it's formed like a weird thin crust on the outside.
Yeah, like maple syrup that you've just left in the thing and it's got the skin on the top. If you were to make yourself say like a giant planet-eating celestial sort of robot or whatever, being in space. Just grab the planet. What do you think it would feel like?
Oh, like a giant ball of Play-Doh that's been left out on the counter. I mean, right? It's crunchy. It's gonna be crunchy on the outside. Oh, I'm feeling like a toasted marshmallow. That's what I'm going with. I've got
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Gooey in the middle.
M&M on a warm day.
Like a mega M&M, Julian?
Yes, like a magma mega M&M.
You people know one of the M's in M&M stands for magma.
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 And the other one, Minderbinder.
The other one is the other M in magma.
They just shortened magma, and that's how they came up with the candy name. So if it were scaled to the size of a billiard ball so you could squeeze it, it would feel, Julian, would it feel as smooth? You've covered this before.
Smoother.
There you go, pal. And if you squeezed it, it would feel like a soft rubber ball.
Cool.
Yeah, really interesting. But the crust, if you put it to like billiard ball sized, would be about as thick as the skin on an apple. So you probably wouldn't really even feel it if you squeezed it. Like it might feel a little crunchy, but very squashy. And so that's why magma can come out. There's a lot of magma relative to the amount of crust underneath that. So that's pretty cool.
Waiting to ooze, just itching to ooze, baby.
Yeah. I came up with a mnemonic to help people understand the difference between magma and lava. So magma is under, it's got an M, magma's under it. And then lava is like laviosa. So it's above, there, mnemonic. You're going to never forget now.
Definitely going to catch on. That rolls right off the tongue.
Thank you. Under and laviosa, we got it. That's it.
This is going to stick with me for my entire life now, and I kind of hate it. I'm going to be so mad that I will think this like 40 years from now.
Why do the simple thing when you can do the complicated and hard thing?
Why is it the dumbest thing possible sticks with me? Okay.
Julian's gonna be at a party, and somebody's gonna say
facts.
magma versus lava, and he's gonna be like, "Umder." Damn it, Trace.
An easy way to remember stalactites is they're up above you. Stalagmites are down below. So that's
Stalagmite, remember that forever.
stupid.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm kind of mad at you now for that. Okay,
You're welcome. You're welcome. All of this aside, I did a journalism.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yay!
I called Jess Phoenix, a volcanologist and the science ambassador of the Union of Concerned Scientists. She has a podcast for UCS called This Is Science. And I asked her, because as a volcanologist, I was like, look, I can make some inferences of what would happen, right? Oh, a volcano under LA. I don't know. It would destroy LA. Like, I feel like I would just be writing a maybe slightly better scientifically, but maybe not storytelling wise version of the volcano movie. Like, I'm not going to write, it's just, it's going to blow some stuff up. So I called her and I asked, and we're going to listen to a few clips of our conversation, and then we're going to discuss them. So I asked her exactly Matt's question. And my first question, I guess, is, could it,
hopefully no. No, I'm going to go with 99.99999% sure that's not going to happen. And I will say that, little known fact, there are volcanics in LA. In fact, from the landslide that's next to Donald Trump's golf course on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, you can actually see some ancient volcanics if you know what you're looking at. And I say ancient as in predates humans. So in geology time, ancient could mean anything, but I'm saying way before humans were here. But there is a volcanology story in LA. It's just not recent. And that's because the way that the plates interact down here in LA has changed a lot. It used to be a subduction zone where one plate was diving under another. Now it has changed to what we call a transform boundary. So the plates are pushing past each other. So you've got the North American tectonic plate on one side, and then you've got the Pacific plate, which Hawaii is on and makes up most of the Pacific Ocean. That's on the other side. And the Pacific plate is moving northwest. That's slipping and sliding. It's just rocks pushing past each other. So it builds up stress and strain, which is why we get earthquakes. But you don't have the melting required or the gap between plates that you see in Iceland. So it's not conducive to volcanism. And that's really where there's a lot of other stuff going on underneath LA. Lots of oil, and the tar pits exist, which erupt in the film.
Yes.
But the tar pits will not erupt. There is methane gas being released from them, but they are not going to start pouring lava down Wilshire Boulevard.
Well, okay, so that makes sense to me, right? I knew that about the different tectonic boundary here in LA and why we get earthquakes. And it's interesting that it has changed over time. To me also sounds like, who knows when, but it could change again.
Ooh, yeah.
That's the thing about things that they're always changing things.
I hate it.
Everything changes when you love someone. I think that's what you're saying.
I am surprised by that because as a lifologist, when I think about tectonic plates and where they meet, I kind of view all of those as little cracks in Earth's candy shell where the oozy, hot, burn your tongue middle of the marshmallow could squeeze out. I didn't realize that. I thought any fault could be like a leak.
Same. Yeah. I was like, any fault can be a volcano, right? It'd just be that's where the magma comes from. And then
squeeze it harder and it'll come out.
It was Umder. Now it's not. So I get it. Now, that makes sense. So I asked her what actually would happen and asked her if she would talk about that.
So let's take this scenario from the movie, which is that an area of LA erupts because you're not going to build a huge volcano. You're not getting Mount St. Helens overnight. You're not getting Mount Rainier overnight. I mean, those are huge amounts of rock, and they take millions and millions of years to build up. So we're not going to see anything like that. You could conceive of something like volcano, which is why I think they went with that. I think they ignored the fact that tar pits aren't hot and they acted like there was a heat source down there, which there isn't.
I just want to pause there. Did you know that?
What, the volcanoes take millions of years?
The tar pits aren't hot.
Oh.
Wait.
The tar pits, they're not hot. There's no magma under that. It erupted out of the tar pits, but the tar pits aren't hot.
I always thought it was like a bubbly bowl of soup.
I thought it was like hot tar. It's not.
I guess if she says there's methane coming up, then the bubbles could just be like the methane gas.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me. I mean, the whole thing of the tar pit, right, is it's just like a bunch of organic matter soup.
Yeah.
From eons ago, biologically speaking, not geologically speaking. And it's all just turned into carboniferous muck. What would be providing the energy and heat? Other than like microbes decomposing stuff, which I don't even know if there's any alive in there.
I don't think so.
But aside from that, like...
For people who don't know, the tar pits are literally like a black pool of tar in LA, which is, I think, one of the probably more visited museums, I'm saying, quote unquote, biological sites in LA. And it's crude oil. It's crude oil that's seeped to the surface and slowly, quote unquote, evaporated parts, like the volatile parts of it have all evaporated away. I don't think that's really what it's called, but the tar is what's left behind.
Yeah, LA used to be one of the biggest oil producing places in the country. You drive certain areas and there's still oil derricks going around. There's even, like, when they were developing parts around LA, there's certain tall, skinny buildings that are just there to hide oil rigs.
I didn't know that. Whoa. That's cool. That's neat.
Weird things about LA. Yeah, we had a bunch of oil, so it makes sense that some of that's just, bubbled up and is on the surface and it's just a big pit of tar. But yeah, what geological activity, though, would be warming the tar pits? It makes total sense to me.
But I imagine if you're a Hollywood executive, you look at that and you're like, it's a bubbling black pool of tar. Probably that'd be the volcanic spot right there.
That's got to be a volcano.
This is a portal to hell.
Interestingly, the tar from the La Brea tar pits was used for thousands of years by local, indigenous, and native tribes as glue and waterproof caulking for baskets and boats. Isn't that cool? I thought that was
Nicely
cool.
Done.
Yeah. And then Westerners showed up and were all like, oh, we can put this on our roof and be waterproof.
Boil it and run a car off of it.
Yeah. It wasn't until the 1900s they started excavating it and realized they could get all sorts of cool stuff out of it. They found bones and fossils and bits of plants and stuff and, lots of carnivores that were chasing prey and got stuck in there and whole skeletons and skulls and native horses and camels and mammoths and mastodons and longhorned bison and saber-toothed cats and all sorts of cool stuff.
How'd they all, you think they would have watched their friends get stuck in there and then be like, I'm not going in there. But apparently they're not that smart. To be like,
I just think of the Treehouse of Horror episode all the time where Homer Simpson gets stuck in some tar and then he's like, it's okay, I'll just reach in with my arms to pull out my legs, and then his arms get stuck and he's like, and now I'll pull out my arms with my face, and he sticks his whole head in.
What a Homer move. I just think that as children, they didn't think enough about quicksand, and they didn't have a quicksand.
That's true. Nobody warned them.
Help them in a tarry scenario.
There were no documentaries about the dangers of tar.
Covered that, I'm pretty sure.
No government PSAs.
Watch out for pyroclastic flow.
If you can see it, it's too late.
Yeah.
Just open your arms and
pull out the bugle.
All right, let's play a little game. We're going to go back to Pompeii for a moment. Pyroclastic flow is coming down upon you at hundreds of miles an hour. You have no hope of escape. What pose are you striking to be found hundreds of years when your ashy skeleton is excavated from the earth?
Wow.
Go.
So many people chose abject fear. What are the chances they all chose that?
I'm just saying this from a pure mathematical standpoint. Like, statistically, what am I likely to be doing? I'll be on the toilet. I'll be preserved. Hunched over my phone. Joe, what about you if it was Joe versus the volcano?
Yeah, the best of the Hanks and Ryan films.
Yeah, I think I'm just. Oh gosh,
I'm just kidding. The best is Clearly You've Got Mail. I don't know why I said that. That was totally wrong. I'm so sorry.
I wasn't gonna correct you, but anyway.
I'm making a giant X just to say, come at me. I'm doing straight Creed lead singer pose.
Wow.
Face into the pyroclastic flow. Let it come over me. With arms wide open.
I have no idea what I would do. My first thought was dab.
I can just see you being excavated.
Yeah.
20 centuries later, and then being like, he was making a prayer to his God at the last.
The high priestess of New York, facing down pyroclastic flow, was praying to his personal spirit. They called it dab. It was the god dab. Often they would yeet themselves.
Yeet.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. So she goes on to describe what kind of volcano would actually form.
So if you, let's say, put a magma chamber underneath LA, so we're talking not a stratovolcano, not the V-shaped pointy ones everyone is familiar with, but something closer to a Hawaiian-style eruption, even though those are still built up over millions of years. But let's say there's like some sort of fissure, and okay, we can get lava under the city. You generally, things flow downhill. I mean, it's not water, but gravity exists, and the thing is, lava can travel a reasonable amount of distance away from its source if it is properly insulated and heated. And that in the movie was kind of why they were like, oh, we'll put water on it. And that's also because, fun fact, in Iceland, they actually were able to stop the advance of a lava flow from shutting off a town's harbor on the island of Vestmannaeyjar by putting ocean water on it. They had boats and they siphoned out ocean water from the ocean there, and they poured it all over the lava, and the flow front stopped advancing. So I know where they got that from in Volcano. So if you did that, if you cracked open fire hydrants and you started to cool the lava, you could actually make a flow slow down. Now, it's not 100% because it depends on the quantity of the lava, the actual temperature that it is as it erupts. Most of the time, that's about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for basaltic lavas, and that's pretty hot. So it would in fact, you'd be unable to drive cars on it. So the movie's wrong there. And you can't get near it really because of the radiant heat.
Yeah, you ever open the door to your oven and it's only like a few hundred degrees Fahrenheit, and you're just like, no,
thank you. Yeah.
A few thousand degrees. Yeah, you're making human toasties.
Yeah, and for our non-American audience, 2,000 Fahrenheit's like 1,100 Celsius. Like that's hot. It's pretty hot.
It's many.
Yeah.
Many Celsius.
You would probably just burst into flames before, I don't know the flash point of human skin, but yeah, I imagine you would just catch fire being
You probably don't even need to do the human skin part. Like, really, you just need cotton clothing.
Or
like, whatever you happen to be wearing. There was a point in Dante's Peak where they spin a tire in lava as they're trying to escape. And even as a child, I was like, no. That rubberized balloon is not gonna make it.
So if you are trying to outrun lava, you should strip so your clothes don't catch fire. That's a practical point of advice.
Actually, since you bring that up, let's play just this really quick.
Your big hazard in LA, because I'm assuming you're not going to have a giant eruption like you would at a stratovolcano, a traditional volcano, it's going to be the lava threat. And to me, you can outwalk most lava flows. Not all. Sometimes it channelizes and it goes like 25 miles an hour. But your average flow, like an able-bodied adult can outwalk a lava flow.
Take that, volcano. You think
yeah.
Tough.
Isn't that great?
Power walk my way to safety.
You thought you were hot stuff.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it is hot stuff, Julian.
You got a point. But still.
Because it was, it was Umder, and now.
No, stop it.
But yes, so I thought that was amazing that you could just outwalk lava. You don't have to strip, Julian. I mean, Julian, put your clothes on, Julian. You can just start walking.
You're not looking where you're going and you run into the La Brea tar pit.
I love the idea that this is like there's like this very slow flow of lava. And Julian's like, I got it. I just feel like
this is for my own safety.
It's not even moving that fast. I just need to take on God.
I've been waiting for this moment.
So we know what would happen if a volcano, what would really happen, Matt? Julian would start stripping and running through the street.
If you see me naked running by, there's a 50-50 chance you know what's happening.
I gotta say, I don't think I'm taking that warning seriously.
Just a naked guy running by. Run for your lives! No, the lava in Laviosa.
It's Laviosa, Joe. It's above the. Oh God!
I was gonna correct my children and be like, see, what you really need to remember is Laviosa.
We're burning!
Now look away.
If only the mnemonic wasn't so long.
So I did then ask her, because lava is the thing that typically destroys things not necessarily in this film. They also had lava bombs and other things, which we're going to talk about in a second. But lava is the thing that kills in a volcano, that and the fires that this superheated substance causes. Lava is also super interesting in that it is this glowing molten rock, but we usually don't think of it as rock because it does flow, right? We like to think of it as a liquid that you can sink into, which you cannot do. You're not going to sink into it. It's denser than you are. But I actually went to the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park in 2019, and that was just after it had erupted significantly, because it had been just slowly leaking for years, and it had covered everything. There was just rock over everything. The roads, the houses, it would just like slowly envelop cars and like anything in the way. It would just kind of push its way over it like really hot Play-Doh, to Joe's point from earlier. And I saw it weeks later when it had formed this hard crust.
Yeah, it's more like the chocolate sundae shell kind of coating thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
I love the idea. You forget that it's rock.
Yeah.
Like if you fell on it, you're not gonna like splash. You're gonna splash. It's not going to splash.
Yeah. There was that whole debate after the Lord of the Rings film where he like fell into Mount Doom, and Gollum has the ring and he's like sinking into the lava, and they're like, no, he's not going to sink into it. He's not that dense. He's
going to stay on top of it and die a horrible, burny, fiery death right in front of all our eyes.
Right in front of it.
Okay, we all have to just sit and watch.
That's what it is.
Oh, God, somebody help him. My legs are broken. I'm not walking. Ouch. It reminds me of when people ruined Scrooge McDuck's vault of gold coins that he dives into.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin on Family Guy. And he just breaks his legs. Oh, God. No, it's a bit of metal. Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's metal that's filled in all the spaces between the other metal.
Yeah, I don't know what they thought was going to happen.
Even if it wasn't coins, like it would just be paper. It'd be a solid block of overlapping paper, which I don't think is better. Like, it would be way worse. Anyway, she went on to talk about what the big hazard would be if there was a volcano under LA.
You're not going to sink. Like you're not going to break through the surface and just go down. It's not like the Terminator scene, sadly. But it's more of the lava will overtake you and break you down.
I do want to say, though, you wouldn't sink like the Terminator, but the Terminator might sink like the Terminator.
Oh, great point. Is a Terminator made of something that's dense enough to sink? I don't know.
I mean metal.
Yeah.
He's
quite heavy.
Depends on what he's made of, I guess. Which metal he's made of.
So what I'm taking from that is the biggest risk in LA if a volcano erupts is really just all the traffic from everybody slowing down to look at it.
Yeah.
Just so they can get out and take a selfie with the lava.
Yeah. The influencers would be out for sure.
It's the rubbernecking. It's always rubbernecking.
In a lot of places that isn't LA, there would be people fleeing from the volcano. But in LA, it would be everyone would be driving toward it, just recording themselves on their phones, like for influencer purposes.
It would be hilarious, though. I'm imagining it coming down 405 at rush hour and like this very slow moving lava keeping pace with the cars. So you're just like, oh no, like looking back. You can't move faster than
they're all going 20 miles an hour and the lava is just slowly gaining. It's like that Austin Powers scene where it's like,
right.
No!
Look out! You're just like going as fast as you can.
That's excellent. Jess did mention that she poked lava with a stick once.
Oh?
Oh, well, that's how you make it angry.
The closest I've come to a river of flowing lava is I've poked it with a stick for science. No, not for science. That was literally because I wanted to see the stick catch on fire.
Yeah.
But I was doing science at the time. But I just, you got to poke the lava with a stick.
You're still a person. You're gonna poke it with a stick if you got a stick.
And there's a picture of it too. So it's one of those things
great.
where people are like, "Oh no way," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, no." My other volcanologist I was working with, I was like, "You got to take a picture." So the stick is catching on fire, and I'm about 6 to 7 feet from the flow front. And then, of course, that was like a whole river of lava. It was burning through a kipuka, which is a forested area. So that's another what would happen if it erupted in LA. We've got parks in this city. We got vegetation. It's not a total concrete jungle. Anything that is vegetated, any kind of fiber or organic material will catch on fire, especially if it's still around 2000 degrees. The crust will cool as it's exposed to the air, but underneath it'll still be able to flow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, anything that isn't like organic, so no animals, vegetables. You say you've got metal, say you've got concrete, the lava is going to subsume that stuff, essentially. So either actually you can find videos online of lava overtaking vehicles in Hawaii from one of Kilauea's recent eruptions. I want to say like 2018, 2019, somewhere in there.
I want to say I love that, she's gone through all these years of study. She's out doing field research. And when she has the opportunity to poke lava with a stick, the childlike need to do it still overcomes her.
Yes.
We are just chimpanzees poking things with sticks.
We're just big baby apes.
Yeah.
I want to poke this.
I got to poke this with a stick.
I have to know.
You know what the temperature of a cremation chamber is? I just looked this up because she brought up things burning, organic things burning in the presence of lava.
Yeah.
It's only like 1400 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, as I do this in my head, that's about
980.
Yeah, we're in the lava is just liquid cremation chamber. Stay away.
Don't do it. Don't do it. So that's pretty much what she says would happen. What would happen? It would just slowly envelop things and burn stuff. It wouldn't be very cinematic. She goes on to mention that the lava bombs that they see in the movie, stuff coming out of a volcano like a lava bomb, a big one, can come out at like 190 miles an hour. It's about 300 kilometers an hour. But something small like this without a lot of height pressure behind it, it would just be like spattering things. So there's not going to, in the movie, there are these giant lava bombs that shoot out and like blow up cars and stuff. And that wouldn't happen. In real life, it would just be like, and there would just be leaking. It'd just be leaking out.
Kind of underwhelming.
Yeah. Not as fun. Not as fun.
How many volcanologists do you think saw these movies from like the 90s where everything was like an inferno and it was exciting, and then they're like, that's what I'm going to study, and then they got it, and then they actually went to one and it's just kind of bubbly.
I can outwalk this thing with a stick.
She did say she saw it as a kid before she knew that she was going to be a volcanologist, and she thought it was really cool. But now that she's a volcanologist, all they do is talk about how she gets so many interviews that are just this question. Like,
right.
Tell me how accurate this is. And so I kind of felt bad that I called her. And she was like, nah, I'm happy to talk about it because people think about volcanoes then and they want to know more, which is cool. But what I came back to, guys, here, I think we can get funding for this. Ready? She said, it's very difficult to study lava flow because it's so hot. We just have to like watch what it does. And I'm like, you know what they need? They need a Dorothy, like in the documentary Twister. They need something that they can like drop in a volcano. How can we get 500 air tags, all of them encased in something? We can just drop them in a volcano and they can just like figure out what the lava's doing.
Yeah, I feel like a GoPro with just like a lot of foil on it. That's it.
You solved it. Why didn't they come to the lifologist for this?
Got it all figured out. Now listen, this isn't my field, but I feel qualified to speak on this anyway.
Yes. Let me explain to you how your field works.
Most people don't think about them unless they live near them or they're vacationing near one. But the crazy thing is the U.S., depending on what's active in a given year, has either the second or third highest number of active volcanoes in the world. So We have a lot. It's just a lot of them are in the Pacific Northwest and in Hawaii and Alaska. But it is a real hazard. I mean, 500 million people around the world live near active volcanoes. So it's like, this is significant. But if you live in Kansas, I can see where it may not be top of mind all the time. And like right now, while we're talking, between like 45 to 50 volcanoes are erupting right now, just on Earth, which doesn't count anything else in the solar system.
Wow. Lots to study.
45 to 50. I can't tell if that's a lot. I want to back up here to the United States. So many people living near active volcanoes. But there have to be some that are dangerous, right? I mean, some do erupt in these really violent ways.
The eruption of Mount St. Helens sort of spawned a lot of people joining the field of volcanology and they started learning about early warning and what it could mean and why it would go off. And, because there were some people who were like, hey, this could happen. But they weren't like, oh my God, it's coming. They didn't know that it was about to literally explode half of itself and, destroy all of that area.
Well, more recently, not to be a downer too, but there was that horrible disaster in Hawaii where, people got trapped by the flow basically, and they just had nowhere to go, and it caused a lot of death and destruction. It was really tragic.
100%. Yeah.
Well, when we live on this thin candy shell in a really hot molten center, like, we're very lucky it doesn't happen more often. Way to go, thin layer of rock, keeping us safe. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because we brought up the faults in LA, and it's like there's already a huge danger of the Earth deciding to kill a lot of us down here anyway. It's just in that different fashion.
I like actually your point, Joe, about the crust, and we should be big fans of it. The USGS says that the volcanic materials break down and weather the crust. They build new crust they don't weather it, the weather does that, but that volcanic materials in the crust are added through new eruptions, and they build some of the most fertile soils on Earth, which I think most people inherently know if they aren't aware of, but like volcanic soil that comes after eruptions, after it's weathered, after it's become part of Hawaii, that's why we grow things there. And actually, most of the metallic material that we mine is found in magma. So things like copper, gold, silver, lead, and zinc are associated with magmas found deep within the roots of extinct volcanoes. So, Matt, to answer your question, what would really happen if a volcano somehow erupted under LA? Well, 99.99 whatever percent, it's not going to happen. And if it did, it wouldn't come up under the La Brea tar pits. And if it did, I think we three have decided the government would probably step in to help you if you were a scientist who figured out that there were going to be a volcano erupting somewhere, just because that would be good. And then it would just kind of ooze and take over some bus shelters and
cause hellish traffic on a Friday afternoon.
Somebody's still trying to knock over the City Hall building to stop the flow. We have to demolish City Hall! No, it's pretty manageable, really. It's not that... No, we have to do this! Are you trying to avoid your court date next week, your jury duty?
Because that's still scheduled, dude. That's still going to happen. City Hall's on a hill. It's fine. If it started somewhere low, it would just flow downhill, wherever that wowould be. So if you're on the west side, it's just going to flow down toward the ocean, I imagine. Or, if you're on a small hill overlooking the LA River, which is, if you know anything about LA, really just a cement trench.
River is a generous term.
Yeah. If it got into that, it could just channelize, is the term she used, and that could maybe make it go a little faster, just toward the ocean, because LA is not particularly good at absorbing water, ironically. It just lets it all out into the ocean. So we just head that way. Be pretty boring. I mean, it'd still be very destructive, but...
The most unrealistic part of that movie is that anyone's going to go down into the LA Metro.
Yeah, we have a metro? This is news to me.
You can go everywhere. Except for, most places. Well, that's another episode of that.
That was really exciting.
The important conclusion is I learned I have transit options. So that's great.
There's a universal law at least on Earth, perhaps the solar system, perhaps every universe that we know of, is that you can't talk about LA without it devolving into a traffic conversation.
Yeah,
We've just proven that yet again.
Yeah.
We've proven it again.
You take the 405 to the 101 to the 134.
Get out of here.
What? The Californians. It's true. It's all true.
It is. That is actually.
Heard.
That is a documentary. That sketch is a
genuinely.
Documentary. Yeah. But anyway, So what would happen? It would be very non-cinematic, but very destructive. Not that different from wildfires that you see in LA or destructive things that you see kind of anywhere in the world, which just comes back to my point in the beginning that it's really just a force of nature categorized as a natural disaster. So what does a natural disaster in LA look like? Kind of like a natural disaster anywhere else. So with that, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. And thank you, Dr. Joe Hanson, for coming on this episode. Did I pronounce your name right? I'm sorry.
In the original Swedish.
Thanks, Hank Green, for coming on our episode.
Happy to be here. Like, I hope everybody gets that.
No one knows what you look like, so it's like, just picture
these two weirdos just randomly calling me Hank Green.
No, but Dr. Joe Hanson, where can people find you?
You can head over to youtube.com/@BeSmart to find my channel. It's much like this, mostly educational and occasionally attempts to be funny and succeed.
And sometimes chaotic, which I really like about it, too. Are you on the social medias?
Yes. You can find me at Dr. Joe Hanson.
Well, and you can find the rest of us on this podcast who are less handsome and less important by looking in the show notes for our social media pages. But thank you to you for listening. This show was created and written and produced by the three of us in this case. Trace Dominguez here. That's the voice you're hearing now. I hope you knew that already, but maybe you didn't.
Julian Huguet, the other voice.
And Dr. Jorg Jorgensen.
And also, it was produced and edited by the wonderful and probably not on fire due to a volcano because he's already stripped naked, yes, Kyle Sisk.
Our flaming nudist editor.
Special thanks to the listeners who submitted questions featured in this episode. That would be Matt and Gerald and, of course, Gerald Hergensen. And if you want to submit a question, look down at the show notes or email us or go to our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask, or call us at 302-TAPE-SHOW and just tell us what you thought of this episode.
Oh, they love it, I'm sure. Special thanks to those of you who are subscribed to us on Patreon. Shout out to our absurd administrators, Les and Adam. And shout out to our new patron, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Also, we have to give a shout out to our ridiculous researchers, Georgi and Ashley. They have been subscribed at that level for 3 months now over on the Patreon. Thank you for sticking with us as ridiculous researchers. We appreciate it. If you also want to support the show directly, you can head over to patreon.com/that'sabsurdshow. Wait, is that our URL?
You can leave us a review wherever you're listening right now. That'll help grow the show. You can give us a thumbs up, follow the show. You can give us a star or a heart or whatever it is on whatever app it is that you're listening on.
Volcanic
and just tell other people.
Cricket chirps.
Yeah, cricket chirps, whatever it is. Little volcano emojis.
Whatever rating system the kids are using these days.
Yeah, dab. Just dab.
That's just dabs. How many dabs? Dabs are like golf scores. Fewer dabs is better.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was unaware. That's because I had died in Pompeii already. And finally, a special thanks to those who are listening on Nebula. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. If you want to join Nebula, you can find out how in the show notes at nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow. Listeners on Nebula don't hear any of our ads. They also sometimes will get extra content or something else. Maybe we'll leave in a stupid joke that we didn't have before. And you can also support us just by listening and listen to other independent creators and watch their videos and support them as well. And as we say at the end of every episode,
you don't have to be the fittest, just fit enough to outwalk the volcano.
And make sure you make a quicksand plan.
And remember, umder and lavosa.
No.
No.
Do not remember.
No.
Actively forget that.